Modern Warfare 2 is less than a week away in the full offering. Campaign's done and up on the channels here in our discussion, but multiplayer and Spec Ops still are on the way. Launch week is upcoming, so we're going to have a ton of stuff to discuss here in the very near future, but today I want to discuss some interesting details in regards to the weaponry, because it seems like the entire weapon list for launch leaked, and then some. On top of all that, we learned a bit more about the fate of weapon tuning, a firing range, the number of maps on launch, and a few other things. So as we go along, drop your thoughts down below. What are you liking out of what we've seen so far in the last 24 to 36 hours of these leaks that we've covered that look to be indications of the full game? The camos, weapon list, whatever the case, drop your thoughts down below. But if you enjoyed the video, you find it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on the video. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to stay there with all things Modern Warfare 2. We've got so much upcoming in the next few days as we gear up for launch with tips, guides, tutorials, updates, and all information. So if you'd like to join us on the road to 500,000 subscribers and stay up to date with all of that, I'd love to have you. And finally, this video is brought to you in part by my friends over at Apex Gaming PCs, but more on them a little later. So let's jump into it. First things first, how did we end up getting these items and things discovered? Well, yesterday there was this small window of time where you had the ability to hit F12 on a keyboard, whether it be on PlayStation or Xbox, if you plugged that in, or on PC overall, and you could access the game menus offline. And from there, you basically had free reign to look at everything on offer. As we'll come back to later in this video, we very well may see a lot of this change in some aspects, maybe some entirely, because we're still missing a day one patch from Modern Warfare 2, even though we have the campaign already downloaded. So things can be subject to change, but we'll have to wait and see how that all shapes up. Let's start out firstly with the weapon listing, because this was the other big thing on top of the camos that we talked about yesterday that came out of it that we didn't get around to. Firstly though, the weapons we have on offer are a little bit over 50, and there's some really cool weapons, but also some that you may notice are indeed missing. So let's jump into that listing here. For assault rifles, we have the Chimera, which is the Honey Badger, the Lockman 556, the STB 556, which looks to be the AUG rifle variant here, the M4, the M16, the Kastov 762, the Kastov 74U, the Kastov 545, all of which are a part of that AK-47 platform, the M13B, and the TAC-65. So 10 rifles there. We have the battle rifles of the TAC-V, the SO-14, the FTAC Recon, and the Lockman 762. We have the SMGs of the Lockman Sub, BASP or BAS-P, the MX-9, which looks to be another AUG variant, the Vaznev 9K, the FSS Hurricane, the Minibok or your Bison, the Vel 46, which look to be your MP7, and the Fennec. The shotguns, we have the Lockwood 300, the Bryson 800, the Bryson 890, and the Expedite 12. The LMGs, we have the RAL MG, HCR 56, the 556 Icarus, the RPK, the RAP H, and the Saiken MG38. The marksman rifles of the LMS, SPR 208, the EBR 14, the SAB 50, the Lockwood Mark II, and the TAC M. The sniper rifles, we have 5 here, the MCPR 300, the Victus XMR, the Signal 50, the LAB 440, and the SPX 80. For the handguns, we have the X12, the X13 Auto, the 50GS, the P890, and the Centum 5, that being a Magnum. And then the launchers, we have the RPG, Pila, and Joker, with the melees concluding us with the Combat Knife and Riot Shield. Now, let's talk a little bit about weapon platforms. We, of course, know that that is the big advertised change here in how weapons work this time around. We saw, firstly, a few that had placeholder names, like Platform 08 name for weapons like the Chimera, and Platform _26 name for the Centum Magnum. But beyond that, we have the Lockman Mir platform, the Bull platform, the M4, the AK-47, the Tactique Verte platform, the PDW platform, the LMP platform, the Fennec, the Lockwood Sport, the Bryson 800 series, the Expedite platform, the RAL platform, the Saiken MG, the Bryson Long Rifle platform, the Ordnance Weapon platform, the Mark IIs, the MRBAs, the Imperatorium, the Signal, the XRK platform back from Modern Warfare 2019, and the Bruin 890 platform. Now, some weapons like the SO-14 battle rifle, 50GS, the Riot Shield, launchers, and the Combat Knife don't actually have a designated weapon platform, so we'll see what that means. But that said, with so many different ones here and so many different weapons that belong to certain platforms, I'm kind of thinking now that we are going to see a mastery camo for platform. That is something that we don't have confirmed. That's just a hunch of mine, because we mentioned that there were 4 camos previously leaked for mastery camos. The 4th, rumored to be Orion, actually leaking today. It does appear to be that Space Nebula sort of camo texture on it, which looks pretty awesome, but that's something that, honestly, with how many we have here, how many weapons go into each platform, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see that as an overall either 2-for-1 for those weapons that are their own platform, and you get that gold, as well as then and completing all the other weapons in a platform. Let's see how that all works out. Now, beyond that, weapon levels was another thing that I picked up on here that was really interesting. To me, I think this is the best and the worst part about how they're handling weapons so far, because the standard weapon leveling should be incredibly easy. Keyword should be. The max level that I saw was only 30, which is like half of most of the recent games, so I'm all for that. And I think this is done in part because the way it's listed is that some weapon attachments, like your optics and a few others, those are universal unlocks, so you don't have to unlock those for every weapon 50 times over, which, if you look at the gunsmith of any of the last 3 games, the bulk of the weapon levels have been attributed to earning optics and unlocking those, so count me in on that one. Getting your optics and other attachments once and getting a smoother sailing grind out of it as a result, I'm all for that. Now, the downside, if nothing is changed here by launch, well, the melees like your riot shield and combat knife and all of the launchers, they have levels that need to be grinded out. 25 for the launchers, 10 and 11 for the melees. So that is something that is an incredibly big bummer to me. Like, we don't have attachments for it, man. Why do we have to rank them up? For as much flack as Vanguard gets, that was probably the best feature to me that was changed completely and entirely overlooked by everybody. You didn't have to level your launchers or your melees. They were just level 1 because you didn't have attachments to unlock them. So you could jump right into the camo progression and grind with those. That was awesome. Now, before we move on to anything else here, I want to let you guys know about my friends over at Apex Gaming PCs. If you guys are interested in a new build, a bunch of new components just came out, a bunch of new hardware, CPUs, GPUs. It's the tech time of the year here, so if you guys are interested in getting a new system, I'd recommend checking out my friends at Apex Gaming PCs. They're a performance-based build company that can offer any number of pre-built systems or the ability to fully custom tailor your own. I'm putting in my order with them here tonight or tomorrow for my new system. Decided to lean into the new AMD CPUs, as well as I'm grabbing an ROG Strix 4090 to keep the 4K videos here on the channel at as best a quality as possible. So if you're interested in learning more, do me a favor and check the link in the description below, where you can find 3 custom tiers of PCs for the community, those of which actually should be upgraded by now to include the new 40 series GPUs, the new Ryzen 7000 series CPUs, and Intel 13th gen CPUs as well. So in addition to that, if I'm not mistaken, Code Espresso is still boosted to 15% off your order if you want to take advantage of some of the new inventories coming in and get yourself a new system or a handful of parts for your existing one. But that said, check them out, link in the description below. But back to it, one final mention of weapons here that I forgot. What's interesting is that we do have more weapons listed in this build than what was listed officially from Call of Duty. In a blog post recently, they detailed there are 33 weapon platforms and 51 weapons coming at launch. Now, the odd part here is that we're actually seemingly short on those platforms, with the total that I saw and counted being 30, even with the placeholder platforms and those weapons that didn't have a designated platform. But the weapon total is over 51, sitting at 54 right now. So are there going to be some Season 1 DLC weapons included in here that we don't see at launch? Maybe. It's definitely odd to see, but only time will tell on this one. Just bear that in mind. Now, one thing that was clarified here through this as well is that the weapon tuning that was rumored from all the way back in June was mentioned only once in a guide during the beta. It does appear to be returning here, this being the very last unlock for every single weapon of every single platform, a sort of mastery level ability for weapons for those who max out the weapon. So interested to see all of that. We obviously didn't have the ability to dive into it and see exactly what it will entail, but it should be coming here at launch. And finally, I want to talk about, in regards to weaponry, the firing range. Now, I'm hoping that what we saw here was just a sort of day 1 patch missing and it's going to be incredibly overhauled, because right now it's about as bland a firing range and minimal effort firing range as we can expect. It's like, well, hey, we gave you a firing range, didn't we? Instead of adding to the massive possibilities you could see in regards to adding detailed statistics, stats on impact to show weapon build efficiency, and things like that. It's quite literally right now just a hallway with 3 combat dummies at 3 different distances downrange. So bit disappointed in that, hoping that we can end up seeing some more stuff come out of that. And finally, the last thing I want to talk about is maps, because we ended up seeing this leak out as well, where right now it seems like we have 11 multiplayer maps for 6v6 and 5 ground war maps coming at launch. Now, for comparison, well, Vanguard is the only game in the last 3 years to beat it. 16 maps at launch for your combat pacings of regular through blitz, and then we ended up seeing 4 air quote maps. They were really kind of just sections of one large map for Champion Hill, which kind of surprised we never got any introduction further for another Champion Hill map. I guess that was just something that was kind of not dead on launch, but shortly thereafter, there was no support at all for it. But regardless, this map count for Modern Warfare 2, it's the 3rd most if you go back all the way to 2017 and COD World War II, so kind of right in that middle ground. But personally, I'm still a bit disappointed, man. It's nice that it's not as low as the 8 that we had in Cold War, but even though I'll probably be in Ground War for most of the launch window, 11 seems really low for a game that has had no interruption in development for 3 years. And I get that you're offering a ton of content elsewhere as well, but I'd kind of hoped to see a bit more here. I mean, 16 was great in Vanguard, but if that's a bit too top-heavy, we won't see post-launch support. I'm cool with not matching that, but I was hoping to see more than that. Now, on the flip side, it will be nice to have a bit more variance in the map sets on the Ground War side, at least. We didn't have 5 Ground War maps until Season 1 in Modern Warfare 2019. Perhaps Season 2, depending on how you qualify Ania Palace at launch, because there was a ton of bugs that would frequently toggle it in and out of the map rotation around launch. So maybe that was something you count, maybe it's not something you count, but it's nice to see by comparison they'll have a little bit more in that front. But 16 maps total. For 6v6 players, I still feel really bad hearing that, hoping for a bit more. And apparently we'll see things like Shipment and Shoot House likely coming shortly thereafter launch, and Season 1 will be a few weeks later, just around the corner. So fingers crossed that that problem isn't too much a problem for too long and we end up getting a decent bit of maps really early on, but that's something to consider right now. Wrapping everything up here, one thing to consider once again is that day 1 patch. We are still missing it. Likely going to be sizable. The last couple of years we've had some pretty big ones on day 1, but you still have the ability to, of course, pre-install and get the bulk of the game installation and download out of the way. But a day 1 patch, anywhere from probably like 10 to 40 to 50 gigabytes could be inbound. And with that, it's likely going to change and finalize a ton of stuff that isn't finalized right now with what we've seen behind the scenes that we really shouldn't have been able to access already. So how much of this has changed slightly, not changed at all, or changed entirely? We'll have to wait and see. Only time will tell on that one, but that's where we're at here with this. A lot of stuff has come out in the last 24 to 36 hours, so wanted to keep you guys posted with everything you need to know. But for now, that's what we're going to call it. So let me know your thoughts down below. Would you like anything out of these leaks? Maybe disappointed in some, like that map count? Whatever the case, drop your thoughts down below. But if you enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on the video. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single thing running all things Modern Warfare 2. We have so much stuff upcoming. It's my favorite time of year, man. I'm incredibly busy. It's grind time. Looking forward to giving you guys more content. So if you guys would like to join the community, I'd love to have you. But for now, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.